Alright guys, so we're going to talk about quadratics next, but our main focus with quadratics is just factoring. So remember when we are factoring a quadratic, the form is ax squared plus bx plus c, and our goal is to find factors of c that get us b. Okay, so when we're looking at number 1, our goal is to find factors of 8. Okay, so numbers that multiply to 8 are 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. Our goal is to get them to add to the middle number, which is 6. So 1 and 8, never going to give me 6. 2 and 4, add those together, yep, that's going to give me 6. So we're going to fill in our parentheses now by going x plus 2 and x plus 4. But our last step is to set these equal to 0 and solve. So I'm going to have x plus 2 equals 0. And x plus 4 equals 0, and just solve. So subtract 2, so that gets us x equals negative 2, and then subtract 4, and that gets us negative 4. Okay, and a lot of the times when we do this, you can skip this step. A lot of times you can do that part in your head. So if you want to, go for it. If you want to write it out, go for it. Whatever gets you the right answer. All right, number 2. Number 2, again, we want to find factors of 10. So numbers that multiply to 10 are 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. Our goal is to get them to add to 3. Okay, so we want a positive 3. So we know 1 and 10, never going to give me 3. But 2 and 5 will if we go negative 2 and then plus 5, or 5 minus 2. So I can go ahead and fill in those blanks of going x minus 2, x plus 5. But remember, got to set both of those equal to 0 and solve. So x minus 2 equals 0. X plus 5 equals 0. So we get x equals 2 and negative 5. It's pretty much just flipping the signs from what's in there. So that's how you can skip this step. It's just to flip the sign. So you've got, oh, okay, well, I've got a minus 2 here. Well, flip it to get a positive 2. Oh, I've got a plus 5. Flip it to get a negative 5. All right, on to number 3. So for number 3, we want to find factors of 4 that give me negative 4. So factors of 4, I got 1 and 4, and I got 2 and 2. So to get a negative 4, because again, that's a negative in front of that, we're going to use the two 2's, and they're both going to be negative. So I've got x minus 2. X minus 2. Okay, set them equal to 0. And you get x equals positive 2 and positive 2. And if you have the same number twice, you don't necessarily have to repeat it. You could just say x equals 2. Okay, that also works. Okay, number 4. Number 4, we want to find factors of 20 that get us x, or in this case, 1. So factors of 20, I've got 1 and 20. I've got 2 and 10. I've got 4 and 5. So to get 1 and 20 is never going to get me there. 2 and 10 is never going to get me there, but 4 and 5 will. And if I want a positive 1, that means my smaller number needs to be negative. So I've got x minus 4, x plus 5, set them equal to 0. And you get x equals 4 and negative 5. Alright, so we're going to take it up one more step when you've got a that's not 1. All of these a is 1. But here we have to do that slide method. So 2 times 3. So 2 times 3 gets me 6. And then we have to find factors of 6 that get us the middle number, which in this case is 1. So factor to 6, I got 1 and 6, and I've got 2 and 3. So to get 1, we're going to use 2 and 3, and 2 is going to be negative. So x minus 2 and x plus 3. But remember, when we're doing the slide method, you got to divide by that first number again. So I'm going to divide by 2. Okay, so 2 divided by 2 does simplify. It gets me x minus 1. But 3 divided by 2 doesn't. So when it doesn't simplify, that's where that slide comes in. Then you slide the denominator in front of x. So I've got 2x plus 3. Then from here we can set them equal to 0 and solve. Or you can, like I said, you can go back up to this step and flip both of the signs. So -1 will switch to a +1, and then +3/2 will switch to a -3/2. Or you could just solve it as like 2x plus 3 equals 0 minus 3. So then 2x equals -3 divided by 2, and you still get -3/2. Both work. All right. Number 6, let's do that same process. We're doing the slide method. So 2 times 3 gets us 6. So 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Our goal is to get a 5. So notice with this, the signs. Okay, so you want it to multiply to a positive number because this last thing's a positive. So in this case, we're going to use 2 and 3. That way they can both be positive. So I'm going x plus 2. X plus 3. But remember, we're doing the slide method, so you got to divide by that first one that you multiplied by. So divide by 2, divide by 2. We got x plus 1. But this one doesn't divide, so slide that in front. So 2x plus 3. And then our last step is to solve. So pretty much go back up to this step and flip your sign. So 2 divided by 2 still gets us 1, but we're flipping that sign, so that's going to get us a -1. And then a +3/2 will switch to a -3/2 for that final answer. Okay, we have 2 more left. Again, still doing the slide method. So 2 times 6 gets me 12. Factors of 12 are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. Our goal in this problem is to get a -7. So 1 and 12 is never going to get me -7. 2 and 6 never going to get me -7, but 3 and 4 will if they're both negative. So I've got v minus 3, v minus 4. But again, got to divide by that first letter. So divide by 2, divide by 2. This one doesn't simplify, so slide it in front. So 2v minus 3. And then 4 divided by 2 gets me 2. So v minus 2. Set them equal to 0, or just flip the sign. So this will switch to 3/2, and this will switch to 2. All right, one more problem, number 8. So again, we're still doing that slide method. So 2 times 9 gives me 18. So factors of 18 are 1 and 18. Ooh, my pen's running out here. Well, I guess I just, never mind. 2 and 9, and then I've got 3 and 6. Okay, so our goal is to get 3. So 1 and 18, never going to get you 3. 2 and 9, never going to get you 3. Oh, wait, 3 and 6 will. So you just got to figure out what signs they should be. So if we want a +3, that means this 3 should be negative. So I'm going x minus 3, x plus 6, and I'm going to take that first number and divide and see if it simplifies. So 3 divided by 2 does not simplify, so slide that 2 in front. So I got 2x minus 3, and then 6 divided by 2 gets me 3. So then my last step is to switch my signs. So right here you got a -3/2, that'll switch to a +3/2, then we got a +3, which will switch to a -3. That's my final answer. Okay, you'll only have maybe one of each of these type of problems on your final, but it is important, and I know for a fact you will see this in Algebra 2 next year. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hope you guys are doing well.